Is there any hints that we can give the audience as to what's coming next?
So let's see.
You all know these models. You know the Dummy 13. You might have seen Pam. You've seen the Mini 13. Maybe you've seen even the Dragonfly.
But I bet you ain't never seen a donkey fly.
But do you know the man behind Lucky 13? We've got Gabe, the man behind one of the most viral 3D models since the Benchy. How you doing, Gabe?
I'm doing good.
I have never seen a model get adopted so quickly and end up in micro size all the way to full on, like, above regular human scale size as well. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal to me too, man. I'm really happy with how the community has responded to it, and it's been such a wild ride.
But many people don't even know who you are.
I don't know who I am either.
Neither do I.
I am a mechanical engineer by trade. I got my first 3D printer, let's say 8 years ago from Santa Claus.
Where did the idea of like I would call this more like a BJD, a ball joint doll. And I know the ball joint community is already starting to write nasty comments about how I'm not correct, and that's fine. But this is a doll, and it does use ball and socket joints, so I am technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. Where did the idea come up to do something like this, a fully articulated model?
As a kid, I was always into Transformers and Legos and action figures, and exactly.
More than meets the eye.
The really posable stuff. The stuff like, okay, this is a formative memory for me. I was 11 years old, and in Walmart, there was a Spider-Man action figure that had like 100 points of articulation. It had individual finger joints. And I was like, I need that. And I never got it. So this has all been me trying to recapture, basically just making the toys that I wanted to have as a kid. I don't have the first Lucky 13 model here, but that was basically, I had just rage quit my job, basically. I was super burned out. I was not happy. I was like, I'm quitting and I'm gonna do something later.
Wow, someone taking care of their mental health in the United States? High five.
Yeah. But you know, a month into that nice little unemployment period, I'm like, I'm gonna make an action figure. I'm gonna make an action figure base that I can just 3D print and have fun with. And then it was like the most motivated I had been in my entire professional career. I would wake up at like 6 a.m. and I would get on Blender, which is not the program you should use for this.
No.
But I would get on Blender, model, print until like midnight. And then I would go to sleep and I would do that again for the whole week. And that's actually where the Lucky 13 name came from, is from it being the 13th iteration was the one that I was happy enough with to actually put out into the world.
It's a humble man, I'll say it for him, okay?
Yeah.
These models are absolutely insane. We're here at Rocky Mountain RMRRF25, and a lot of booths have not the regular sized ones. We're talking like beefy ones that like you had to fit into luggage. Joel even brought the stainless one for you, which is super cool.
Yeah, Joel, 3D printing nerd, gave me the stainless steel printed dummy that he featured in his video, which I was so happy about, that I now have custody of the only stainless steel dummy 13.
So far.
So far.
Yeah,
I mean, they told you can go to PCB Way and get your own. They said it was expensive, but
yeah, metal 3D printing is not cheap. I kind of want to
Absolutely.
make one out of niobium. Hilariously, niobium is not that much more expensive than steel to 3D print, but it's, you know, rocket grade.
I would go titanium. I used to do 3D printed titanium for my old job.
It's so nice.
It is super cool.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get this ball and socket joint to fit properly? Because that is something that's harder than most of you think.
I'll say that it actually didn't take super long to figure out the tolerances on it. I just kind of took a wild guess. I was like, okay, 6mm ball goes into a 5.8mm socket. That probably works. What took longer was kind of learning the intricacies of the material itself. I use ASA for all my joints. I say you can use PETG too. Everyone asks, can I use PLA? Because everyone has PLA and they love using PLA.
It's a little too brittle.
It's not that it's brittle. PLA creeps, which means that you have a ball into a socket and you hook those together and you want that socket to be squeezing so that it holds a position. But PLA creeps, which means it relaxes. It says, oh, you want me to be spread open? Fine, this is my life now. I'm just gonna let you do whatever you want. And then it's relaxed into a position that doesn't actually hold. I had to learn that. I had to learn that PLA doesn't work. And I had to learn that layer lines are a thing. And you know, this is not an isotropic material where it has more strength in this direction than it does in this direction. When I do the socket, I do it so that the layer lines are making a C, so that, you know, the stress.
So they actually provide that extra clamping pressure.
Exactly, because if I printed a C, you know, on the bed like this,
it's got no chance.
It would
of survival.
break on the layer line.
No chance of survival.
Exactly. It's a lot of material science, and like, you know, I went to engineering school and they teach you equations and they teach you how to evaluate stuff, but really it's about vibes. It's about knowing that, like, okay, things like to bend more than they like to stretch, and they like to break if you do it in a certain orientation, and they like to creep if they're this certain material. So I don't do calculations, I just do, okay, this is kind of how things work. This is what material does when you try and do this stuff with it.
And this is why engineering is important.
For the vibes.
You know, the cool thing with 3D printing is you can just check. Like, checking the ball and socket joint is gonna take an hour maybe.
Yeah.
So you can do 6 or 13 iterations in a day, basically, and find what works really well. And then you can just abuse the joints and then see how they fail over time and then make it very, very tiny adjustments.
And I'll say, you know, it was the 13th iteration the first time around. If you look into my Fusion 360 and you look at the revision history, I'm at like version 250 on this.
We don't look at version history because I got a lot of final V2s, okay? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I have final test, version 2023, wait, I mean 2024, wait, let's just say 2026.
How many of you out there have file version history like that? Let us know in those comments, because if you feel like you're being called out, it's not our fault, it's yours. I sincerely believe you have one of the coolest models that I've seen in this industry. And I know a lot of you have printed Gabe's models, and they're available on printables. Where are they not available?
So they're only on printables and Maker World, and I would prefer if you go to printables, because I have more things on printables and I like it better.
We'll link to them in that description and in the pinned comment, because it's super cool. And Dummy 13, he's free.
Yeah.
You can buy the design files, and you recently brought out Pam.
Yes.
You talk about Pam?
Yeah, sure. So this is Pam, short for Poseable Artist Model, I think. Who can remember? And it's basically just a, you know, an evolution on kind of what I've been doing, but with a bit more anatomy to it, a bit more curves.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is available for sale on printables for $9.
It is super cool to see it in person, meet the man, the myth, the legend himself. Would you want to see a podcast where Jacob and I get to talk with Gabe at a way longer deal, because Jacob's the engineer? Is there any hints that we can give the audience as to what's coming next?
So let's see. On the table right now, number one, this is unnamed, but this is sort of a next evolution, sort of doing similar joints to Pam here. But basically, so I always had the thought that I would create the base model and then I would create remixes of it.
Right.
And it kind of worked like that, in that I made the base model and then other people made remixes of it, while I was the perfectionist, is like, no, I need to do the next thing, I need to make it better, and I never got around to making remixes. So I am trying to perfect the base and perfect the system of joints so that I can make a lot more stuff, and also the community can make a lot more stuff and have it be a little bit easier this time around. And then I'm also working on, this is not out yet, this is going to be...
I was gonna say, I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Yeah, so this is like some more mechanical aesthetic design. So that's kind of the first application of the new joint system. It's got a, it fits a Haribo in there.
Yeah, as it should, as it should.
Yeah, that's down the road a little bit. I don't want to commit to a date or a price or an availability.
Soon TM.
Soon TM, trademark, registered, copyright, and so on, patent pending. But yeah, so those are the kind of the two things that are in the works, and a million things spinning off of that, and more cool stuff to come.
So where can people follow your work? Where's the best place to follow you?
So you can follow my account on printables. Right now, anything that I'm making is gonna show up there. I'm on Blue Sky as lucky13toys.bluesky.social or whatever it is. I'm on Twitter as lucky13toys. That's basically it. You can go to lucky13toys.com, and that has links to everything. So there you go.
And we'll link to all that in the description. So if you want to follow Gabe and what he's doing, and he's been teasing some stuff on the social medias, okay? But you got to follow him so you know what's going on before it comes out, so you can have that credit card ready and you can throw it at the screen as hard as humanly possible, just not to actually damage the screen. But if you guys do want to see a longer talk with Gabe on the podcast, let us know in those comments. And if you could design any accessory for any of the Lucky 13 models, what would it be and why? We're definitely not using this as a way to crowdsource ideas for future iterations.
Get me to 1 million downloads on printables. I want to be the first one there.
Yelling at the camera doesn't do anything. The mic's on you.
Get me to 1 million downloads.
Check out all of the Lucky 13 Toys models. We'll link to them down in that description. I feel like I'm fanboying because these models are so critical to this industry. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for talking to me.
But if you do want to support the efforts that we do here on the channel, you can do so by joining for as little as $1 a month, but at the $5 tier and higher, get your name listed right next to Gabe and I. But stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always,
Keep making awesome.
have a good one.